Oregon versus Penn State. Crucial elements for the Nittany Lions. State College, get your popcorn and find a good seat because one of the most exciting sporting events is about to begin. NBC's Big Ten Saturday Night will broadcast the annual whiteout game between number 3 Penn State and number 6 Oregon at Beaver Stadium. Noah Eagle and former Penn State quarterback Todd Blackledge will be on the broadcast. The game is a rematch of last year's Big Ten championship, which the Ducks won 45-37. It's also a chance for Penn State coach James Franklin and quarterback. As the game goes on, Kotelnicki must let his quarterback stretch the field because the offense can't get too predictable against this Oregon defense. Allar, who announced a new nil deal with Venmo this week, has struggled to maintain consistency in the first halves this season, whether with inaccurate throws or moving slowly through his progressions. Franklin has stated several times this season that the staff must help Allar get into a rhythm, and there's no better way to do that than through screens or quick slants. Allar's performance will determine the outcome of Saturday's whiteout. Therefore, it is imperative that Penn State gets him in rhythm. Penn State has yet to see that Singleton in 2025, but running backs coach Stan Drayton stated this week that the senior is on track and ready to explode. Singleton carried the ball 10 times for 105 yards and made 4 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown against Oregon in last year's Big Ten championship. His 10.5 yards per carry was a season high, and his 43-yard run in the first quarter was his second longest of the year. Reese Davis, host of ESPN's College Game Day, agreed with Franklin, saying on Friday in State College that Penn State needs to get Singleton going in terms of big plays, which could be a deciding factor Saturday. Franklin said the offense has lacked explosiveness, primarily in the run game. This season, Penn State has 2 carries of 20-plus yards, both by Allen, and Singleton's longest is 16. The matchup between Penn State and Oregon is intriguing because both teams have strong front lines. The offensive line needs to live up to the Joe Moore Award standard they set during the preseason, according to left guard Vega Ione. Penn State is tied for second nationally in the fewest tackles for loss allowed, 8 in 3 games, so Oregon will put to the test. Defensive end Mateo Wiungalale, a physical freak, 6'5", 272 pounds, has 3 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 2 quarterback hurries in 4 games. Franklin this week praised the progress of right tackle Nolan Rucci, who will be under pressure on Saturday. Edge rushers Danny Dennis Sutton, Zariah Fisher, and Chaz Coleman seek to change that. Specifically, watch for Dennis Sutton to team up with tackle Zane Duran on pass rush downs, trying to breach the Oregon line. Oregon's offensive line is tied for the nation's highest best pass blocking grade, 93.9, according to Pro Football Focus, and has allowed just 1 sack in 4 games. Penn State's defensive line faces by far its most challenging task of the season. 3 things we know about Penn State before their matchup with Oregon. Here are some things to be excited about and some things to be concerned about before Penn State starts the Big Ten schedule. The team is currently 1 quarter into its regular season, and Coach James Franklin has led it to its 5th consecutive 3-0 start, albeit against mediocre opposition. Penn State will play Oregon in the whiteout on September 27th. The Nittany Lions were a last-second touchdown from shutting out consecutive opponents for the first time since 1996, and their defense has only given up 17 points and pitched 1 shutout under first-year coach Jim Knowles after 3 weeks of play. According to statistics, the Nittany Lions are tied for 5th in red zone defense, 50% scoring rate, 3rd nationally in scoring defense, 5.7 points per game, and tied for. The starting 11 has yet to give up a touchdown, and the 2 touchdowns the Nittany Lions have given up have occurred with backups on the game. As of right now, Penn State's defense is playing as expected under Knowles, but the first real test will be against Oregon. Allar had high expectations going into his senior year, as CBS David Cobb ranked him as the 3rd best quarterback in college football. Fox Sports' Joel Klatt ranked him 5th, and The Athletic's Sam Kahn Jr. and Antonio Morales ranked him 6th. However, ESPN's adjusted quarterback rating, or QBR, for the first 3 weeks was 111th, which is more than twice as high as. But what exactly is bothering Penn State's starting quarterback? Franklin mentioned in Week 2 that Allar's overthinking was a contributing factor, but the quarterback quickly stated that this changed after the Villanova game. "I felt pretty good overall. I felt better about my performance." Allar has struggled on third down and has yet to surpass 60% since completing 84.6% of his passes against Nevada in the star running back for Penn State, Singleton, has made headlines this season, but not for the reasons he expected. His average of 4.4 yards per carry is higher than that of fellow back Katron Allen, who has outperformed in all 3 games. Singleton is averaging 59.7 yards per game, and his longest run is only 16 yards. However, that is because of change, and the whiteout game against Oregon is the perfect time for Singleton to make an impression. The Ducks rank 13th in the Big Ten in rushing yards allowed per game, 122.7, and run defense has been one of their few dubious aspects. Penn State hosts Oregon for the annual whiteout on September 27th at Beaver Stadium. Kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC's Big Ten Saturday night. Singleton also recorded 105 yards on just 10 carries in his only game against Oregon, which took place in the 2024 Big Ten Championship, and he gashed the Ducks for a game-high 41-yard gain. The Oregon versus Penn State clash is more than just a Week 4 college football game. It is a battle of narratives, reputations, and postseason dreams. On one side, you have Oregon, a program that has steadily climbed into national prominence with a high-powered offense, elite line play, and the confidence of having beaten Penn State in last year's Big Ten Championship. On the other, you have Penn State, a proud program that has built its identity on defense, balanced offense, and one of the most intimidating home field advantages in the sport. For Penn State, this whiteout represents both a chance at redemption and a test of legitimacy. James Franklin has brought consistency to the program, stringing together 10-win seasons and producing NFL talent, but critics often argue that he falls short in the biggest moments. A victory over Oregon under the national spotlight would go a long way toward reshaping that perception. Drew Allar, too, is playing not just for a single game, but for his standing as one of the top quarterbacks in college football. Analysts have ranked him among the best in the country, but his early season struggles raise questions about whether he can rise to the occasion. Saturday is his opportunity to prove that he can handle pressure, adapt quickly, and lead Penn State's offense against an elite opponent. Nick Singleton's role cannot be overstated. His speed and explosiveness are game-changing weapons, but through 3 games, he has yet to fully showcase them. The whiteout could be his breakout moment in 2025, the game that reignites his reputation as one of the most dangerous backs in America. Against an Oregon defense that has shown vulnerability against the run, Singleton could tilt the balance in Penn State's favor. The trenches, as always, will quietly dictate the outcome. Penn State's offensive line has been superb at limiting negative plays, but Oregon's defensive front, led by Mateo Uiagalelei, poses its biggest challenge yet. Conversely, Penn State's edge rushers will be tested against one of the best pass-blocking units in the nation. Whichever line imposes its will more consistently will likely determine the pace and flow of the contest. Defensively, Jim Knowles' unit has been lights out through 3 games, but Oregon represents an entirely different caliber of offense. If the Nittany Lions can keep the Ducks under control, force them into long drives, and limit explosive plays, it will validate the defense's statistical dominance and solidify them as one of the nation's elite groups. Beyond X's and O's, the atmosphere itself is a factor. The whiteout has historically unnerved visiting teams, creating miscommunication, false starts, and mental lapses. Beaver Stadium is not just a venue, it is a weapon. Oregon will have to remain composed in a cauldron of noise, while Penn State must harness the energy without becoming reckless. Ultimately, this matchup is about stakes that extend far beyond the scoreboard. It is about playoff implications, Heisman campaigns, recruiting momentum, and program identity. For Penn State, beating Oregon under the whiteout lights would mean more than just a notch in the win column. It would signal that the Nittany Lions are ready to compete at the highest level, not just within the Big Ten, but nationally. For Oregon, A victory would reinforce their position as a legitimate playoff contender and prove that last year's Big Ten championship result was no fluke. No matter the outcome, fans can expect drama, intensity, and moments that will be remembered long after the final whistle. The whiteout is not just a game. It is an event, a spectacle, and a proving ground. And on September 27th, all eyes will be on Beaver Stadium to see whether Penn State seizes its moment or whether Oregon once again silences the sea of white.